All right. We're live with Layer 1 season and a massive panel of totally awesome folks. I'm going to give introductions here. So we have David Phelps from Joke Race. He's a three-time founder in fintech, ed tech, and crypto. We have Brendan Joyce, the CEO and co-founder of Pact. He has a rather long piece here, so I'll read through some of it. He co-founded League Heads, formerly Google's #1 fantasy sports book game. A sports book game, not a sports book game. He also co-founded I Vote, a digital grassroots collective that trailblazed web content activism. And he's also an Imagine Impact screenwriting fellow, which is a Ron Howard and Brian Grazer company, which is super interesting. We also have Patrick Dunlop from Jackal. He's the founder of Jackal. His background, he's basically building like an AWS competitor, and he's been in deep tech, blockchain tech for a couple of years. And lastly, we have a non-doxed person by the name of Excel Baller, who's the co-founder of Tech Improving, which is an Avalanche meme coin community. He is a trial lawyer by day and a passionate crypto user by night. So welcome, folks.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
There are a lot of different people here, and I really wanted to have you guys each share like a personal story about introducing someone completely new to crypto, maybe like a family member or a friend. And the intent of this panel is generally, how do we onboard normies, and what are we doing to do that? And so maybe you guys can go around and share some story about that.
Sure, I can kick it off if you like.
Yeah. Go for it, BJ.
All right, thanks, Excel. So one of the things when we think about who do we want to onboard is where. Most of the world that we are all fortunate to occupy on our day-to-day basis is one where right now blockchain isn't revolutionary. If you can trust your banks, although if you have Bank of America, maybe that's a little bit of a problem, but by and large, usually you can trust your banks, you can trust your credit cards, you can trust your transactions, you can trust your contracts, so forth and so on. We're very fortunate at Pact to have an engineering team of Nigerian, primarily, developers. They hail from banking, built the first pilot program for blockchain for a big bank called Sterling Bank, did the same thing for logistics companies. And when I was living there all last year in Africa in our hacker house with our developers, you would see firsthand how blockchain would get introduced into somebody's life, and then 1 week later, it's the entire financial rails that they would use. So something that happens quite frequently is, and this has happened a few times for us, I'll get a notification, hey, for instance, my mother has a surgery and we need $300. It's pretty slow to send that through Western Union. It's pretty slow to send that through a bank wire. You get paid a $50 fee for an international wire to Nigeria. I know I used to do it a lot. But with USDC on Avalanche's C chain, they get it inside of 5 seconds. And there's a proverb I was told by the grateful mother when I sent some USDC to someone who'd never received it before. She said, "May your hand never find the bottom of your pocket." So every time I think about onboarding people, new users to blockchain, I think about that. May your hand never find the bottom of your pocket. And I'm sure we'll get to what that means in a broader context later. But when you build useful blockchain, I think the pocket expands, as opposed to when we do sort of the degen stuff that's sort of inside baseball. That's more PvP rather than the P2P that was originally the Bitcoin vision. So that's my story of onboarding people to blockchain, actually helping people with their hospital bills in Africa.
And I've got to go after that. And so well, here, unironically, like Geeks to Grannies is the name of the show. I had nothing to do with that, but I onboarded my nephew when he was in high school and my grandmother. So like a quick story, since we're talking about UX, both of them onboarded through Coinbase with a bank account. It was funny because like my nephew at the time, like he doesn't even have a bank account, right? He's still in high school. So I'm pretty sure with him, I sent him over some coins and like let him start trading. But this was peak ohm fork, time fork. and the kid's like 16 years old, like, running up a bag to like 20K, has no idea what he's doing. He's just like clicking rebase, buttons every 8 hours or whatever and making it. And then on my grandmother's side of it, yeah, she's just like constantly checking her Coinbase whenever she like sees it on the news or something like that. So, she was buying Bitcoin, buying AVAX. I think I got her like a bag of Joe or something and like some ETH. And, the onboarding process like is super easy, right? Like you just download the Coinbase app. That's like where most people get started. I think like my nephew had a lot easier time picking up just because he's younger. He is a geek. He's computer savvy. So it was like no issue with him setting up a wallet and like starting to degen right away. And as far as my grandmother goes, I mean, she's my grandma, right? She's just checking her Coinbase, just seeing what the number's doing. I don't know. I guess that answers your question about a story of, my family members that I onboarded.
Yeah, I can follow that up. And I don't do much DeFi stuff. I build on the infra side of things, particularly like for storage, right? And the ability to like access storage with a smart contract call. We have kind of two customers that we like to focus on. We have like the Web3 developers, and then we have the Web2 businesses that want to use it for various use cases. But when you think about it, it's all comes down to value propositions from our mind. Value proposition for Web3 builders, for example, they like decentralization, self-custody, cybersecurity, and privacy posture, and that's what they care about. They also care about like the ability to automate and at the smart contract level and integrate that stuff. Grannies probably don't care about that. If I'm being completely honest, what they want is something useful for what they're building. But although I haven't onboarded any Grannies, we've onboarded like Web2 businesses for like data storage backups, for example, right? What do they care about? They care about something that's useful to them, and what's useful for their business isn't necessarily like right now the self-custody or the decentralization, because they're not really down that curve yet of things that being a value proposition to them. But what is they want geo-distributed, verifiable data backups, but is like 80% cheaper compared to AWS or whatever they're using right now. And that's valuable to them. The coolest thing about that is the blockchain rails and decentralization is the kind of the rails that we're building on to provide the actual benefits to them, whether it be geo distribution or multi-region verifiable storage. Those are all features of blockchain rails, but they don't necessarily care that it's blockchain rails. They just want something that's useful, right? And I think if you provide a feature set or a value proposition that's big enough, it actually has that ability to bridge the gap and onboard them to these rails, whether it's through a centralized party like a Coinbase or like a centralized API. And then hopefully by the time that we integrate deeper, we can offer more value propositions in cybersecurity and privacy by having things like account abstraction or fee grants or things to kind of remove the friction that we are all really familiar with onboarding people. Like it's not great. You want to use storage on Jackal. It's like step one, get a Coinbase account. Step two, transfer Atom to Osmosis, swap for Jackal, get Jackal, transfer to Jackal chain, purchase storage. And it's just not acceptable for their use case right now. So we have a lot of work to do in that front, in my opinion.
David, how did you? What's your?
Oh, I mean, well, I'll tell you how not to onboard people, which is to go to them at the height of the bull market and say tokens are fucking awesome. Look at me, I'm rich, and you can be too. Made that mistake. Guarantee you're all going to be very poor very quickly after. As soon as you say that, those are like magical words that bring like the witch of poverty to send a blight on your house. So yeah, I think any of this stuff it's like around promising token price is it's such a blessing and a curse, but it's mainly a curse. Like usually the reasons token price are going up is because they're going up, and usually the reason they're going down is because they're going down. And that's not really a good reason. And so getting people in on that side is the easiest way to onboard people, but it's also the easiest way to lose them and make them hate crypto forever. And I have a lot of friends, I would say, in the kind of like crypto graveyard who like refer to it as a curse in their lives. I had a friend sell last week who's held it for 5 years and was like, not having to check the charts is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. So then the question is, okay, what do you get people on with? And I think it's use cases, and those use cases might be remittances and savings and like just having, your money in something other than like the Turkish or Argentine peso, but like, I'll take a small example, which is like we ran this contest, this joke race video on chain contest, and there's a contest for reality TV shows. And I just sent that to a bunch of friends. I was like, look, you want to build a reality TV show where you can actually make money doing it. Like you can run this. There's no token involved in that, right? It's just like, except whatever's paid for the actual revenue. You can build this. And so, yeah, we have my friend Hannah now building Gays of Our Lives. They just started casting today. There'll be a full crypto show. And it's like just she can monetize that natively and add interactive, engagement for people to be voting that just was never possible before a blockchain. And it feels so small, but it's so big because it's like, okay, this is actually a business for her. And this is actually something fun that she can build, totally non-technical, who knows nothing about crypto, right? That she couldn't do before. And so, yeah, I think getting people to actually use it and make money that is not just a token price going up is really what we need for this whole system to work.
Yeah. I just wanted to highlight the normies getting onboarded into California. Their Department of Motor Vehicles in California is now all of their titles, their car titles, are on an Avalanche blockchain, and they have nothing to do with any token or wallet or anything. It's just used to transfer titles. So yeah, there you go. BJ, for those who are listening, BJ is holding up the license. Also, wanted to give you guys an opportunity to do any demos. Just wanted to highlight, if you want to do any product demos, like happy to do that. So this goes for any of you guys who want to show any part of your stack. I wanted to highlight David's blog on Substack. For anyone who is into interesting ideas, which are dangerous to your brain, I recommend checking it out. I wanted to highlight
dangerous to my brain as well.
It's also dangerous to your brain. Can you talk a little bit about the making on-chain apps social and like integrating social elements to improve onboarding?
Yeah, so I kind of have a 3-part series, and I'm going to be publishing the 3rd part in another week or two on how to actually build crypto apps that might be able to work, and then we'll see if I actually am able to prove this thesis out as a founder or not. So the first part was called the proto app thesis, and the idea is that apps actually need to be built as protocols for anyone to build on top of, and that composability is the kind of new moat that you can actually get out of crypto, which is counterintuitive because people always think when you make stuff open source on a public blockchain, everyone can fork it. And so you're losing your moat. But my argument is actually that's enabling other people to ingest your data and start building out your service in new ways on top of you that actually can drive a moat because through these integrations. And so protocolizing the app was kind of the first piece. And that's like kind of thinking about the back end side of the app and what has to happen there. The second piece is social app thesis. And that's, I would say, thinking more about the front end of the app. And the thesis, for that really is, because you don't have, the strongest backend modes, you have the composability mode I talked about, but otherwise, you're seeing, for example, like Uniswap right now is getting cannibalized by its own competitors. So its own protocol is being used by its competitors to draw traffic away from its site, which is how Uniswap makes money. And so Uniswap is actually losing money to itself, which is just this kind of phenomenal thing that can only happen in crypto, right? And so part of the thesis there is saying, okay, well, you actually need to build a front-end moat. Like you need to have people who are loyal to your site and are coming there. And like, what is the only reason that people will want to go to a site over and over again? I mean, there's switching costs and brand legitimacy and avoiding phishing attacks. Like those things all matter, but it's mainly because there's other users there. And so like a lot of the space I think has been focused on like liquidity and liquidity modes for DeFi. And like one of the big kind of narrative changes I think in the past year is like we're starting to see, oh wait, liquidity is not that important for anything outside of DeFi. For DeFi, it's massively important. But like, if you're trying to build outside of DeFi, like does TVL actually mean that much for your chain? Like, is that actually, like a meaningful metric to use for your application? How much money people are keeping there? So what I refer to instead is what I call user liquidity. And the idea of user liquidity is there's just a bunch of users on the site that you can tap into. And the more users that are there, the more people want to come. And that's just very old school, right? There's nothing really revolutionary about this idea. It's like how you built Twitter and Reddit, except to say that like you have to have a social component even for financialized apps, because that's what's going to keep people there and keep them excited and engaged, so that even if they're losing money, which there's at least a 50% chance they are if the protocol's taking no money, then they're still going to be engaged and want to stick around. And so that I guess would be like the kind of cliff note summary for social app thesis, which is actually everybody really needs to worry about the front end, and the way that to do that is to focus on social.
Thanks, David. Yeah, please respond, the other guys.
No, I think it's a really good thought and really good thesis. And what I'm kind of excited for is the boring infra isn't, like, I almost want to say that like the boring infrastructure work isn't done yet, right? For us to build like web scale applications on these rails. And I'm excited for that unlock to happen next, right? You look at blockchains are sick, right? But blockchains, they're not good at a lot of stuff. Like they're not good at storage, for example. They can only do so much compute. And I'm excited for like kind of like that next wave of kind of providing, whether it's on-chain or off-chain or verified on-chain, or having that level of decentralization that we're comfortable with to actually build these social applications or build these decentralized science applications or AI or ML, and trying to figure out like how much do we want on these rails and how much do we want off these rails. I think it's a really important piece that we're missing. And like it's kind of like when the first two, I guess like the last two cycles, like everyone's like rushing, like we have like this boom of this new awesome technology. Everyone's rushing like the fastest way to make the most amount of money possible on these rails. So stable coins and then like DeFi and then lending and all the things that can be done on chain very simply. But once we start getting the stuff that Dave is talking about, like building up social applications, right? And having the scalability to support something like that, that's what I'm kind of excited for this next wave of having the infrastructure available for us to do these things and start these larger experiments and move out of things that are just using the ledger for who has what stuff at what time.
I couldn't agree with both of you guys more. I think also one of our theses here is we all want to get to Web3, right? Like Web2 had a good run, but it'd be nice to own your assets. It'd be nice to own your own identity. It'd be nice to just own anything, quite frankly, instead of being the product yourself. We say at Pact that between the journey from Web2 to Web3, sometimes you need to make a pit stop at Web 2.5. And so some components are on chain, some components aren't. And I think that, Dave, to your point, you need to embed as many social aspects as you can to transaction infrastructure. I'm going to share my screen here, Nathan, since you said that we could do it. Let's see if this works with this beautiful Restream app. Can you guys see? Cool. So I want to show you something called.
Hold on, let me get you in here. Hold on a sec.
No sweat. Awesome. Here we go. So to you guys' point, try to show what it looks like when it's productized. We created a bounty platform for the Avalanche Ambassador DAO. They've got global ambassadors in Latin America, Southeast Asia, Middle East, Africa, etc., Europe, of course. And what we wanted to do is provide a way for them to have an on-chain experience of earning bounties. So I'll log in and show you how we did some UI to enhance that UX. So we're trying to meet people where they live, right? If we're trying to get from Geeks to Grannies, it's probably going to be Grannies last. But let's go to the Geeks. So the Geeks probably look at Twitter or anything that has a social feed every day. So this is basically a feed of the bounties that are available or the progress of a bounty. So let's say that you've assigned one. Pact, of course, our company is a partner on this platform. Let's say we assigned a bounty to an ambassador. You can check out what the progress is of those bounties that are active. And then you can also come here to the leaderboard. So you see we have gamification elements, another critical component of giving people that dopamine boost that they're accustomed to experiencing on their favorite platforms. Got to do it, otherwise you're not competing. So Alexa has been absolutely crushing on the platform. We can see that everyone else has a blue number, but she finally is the first person to cross into 75. 75 means that she's now going to have a green rainbow, as you can see here from now on. So this is like a FIFA or a Madden scoring mechanism. You can see that that score is based off of her reviews, a perfect review score. She's done 15 5-star bounties, so you can click through here. And all of these components right now are Web 2. Now we have plans to turn this into an NTT, non-transferable token, or a soulbound, and to have all of the reviews update, basically with the inscriptions, all of that. But we understand that also we can't keep the engagement that we need to get people into blockchain always waiting for Godot, as even Gunser likes to say, CEO of Avalanche founder. We need to get people engaged now with some on-chain components, and then as the infra grows, we put more and more components on chain. So what is on chain? If you want to create a bounty, you can come here and you would say, landslide demo. You enter your amount, say maybe $1,000 for this bounty. And of course, since it's blockchain, you want to be able to pay in different crypto tokens. These are all the whitelisted ones. You'll also see Tech here. Tech is a partner. So thank you, Excel, and your co-founders for that. And so let's say that we do want to pay in Tech. I will see how that will change right away. Say number of spots, we'll say 5 spots. And now you see it calculates how much Tech and how much each spot is getting. So this is not just a single person bounty. Now it's going to be for 5 different ambassadors. You can select your due date, and then you would fill in all of the rest of the information. And this is all Web2 data. It's being bundled into a collection, sort of MongoDB style. But where it hits the chain is when you deposit payment. And that's where it's going to be put into a single use, non-custodial escrow wallet. And what that does is it takes the entire capacity of blockchain to finally have people put skin in the game in Web3 in a way that they don't on the Upworks and the Fivers of Web2. And so as soon as you have that skin in the game, now the partner and the ambassador, they're on a level playing field. Whereas in Web2, because people don't have skin in the game on social media, they'll show up in a thread, say something awful that they would never say in person. They're act in a way that is just absolutely nefarious, even though they're a real shy person in real life, because there's no skin in the game. Or if it's a Fiverr or Upwork, you've got people exploiting other people because they already have the money and they know that possession is 9/10 of the law. So if you're the client, you can ask for more work from the talent. And that means that if you're the talent, you're like, oh, well, maybe this client is going to be bad because other ones have been. So you don't buy in as much. To me, Web3 is about getting people to buy into the internet, because the internet is where a lot of people spend the majority of their lives. And if you think about where the majority of brain cycles are spent on the entire planet, it's on the internet. It's not in China. It's not in India. There's Chinese people on the internet. There's Indian people on the internet. There's Americans. There's Europeans. There's Latin Americans, Africans. We're all there. So it's time to use blockchain to start cleaning up our house where we live a little bit more. And that's what we're trying to do with this UX experience by taking that transactional infrastructure, adding social elements, and making it both familiar and improved. So,
thanks, BJ. I wanted to have other folks weigh in on your demo, and what they see.
Hopefully,
no, it's cool. No, it looks really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, something I should specify too is that's a template, right? So what Pact is trying to do is what Amazon did to retail, because apps, if we think about what AI has been consuming, and then also the fact that the blockchain infrastructure is going to expand the developer pool to a global talent pool, just like the stellar 10Xers that I've been so blessed to work with in Africa. That's going to be a progression to the mean for the sending nation talent pools. And I think a regression to the mean for those people who are ex-Googlers and they got paid $250,000 a year to move a button from the left-hand side of the screen to the right and change it from periwinkle to royal blue. I think those days are numbered. And what we're trying to do is just make sure that blockchain Rails facilitates paying value creators for the value they create. And so what that means in the context of what Amazon did to retail, we're trying to do for apps. Apps are still difficult to build, but they're not as difficult to build. If you wanted to build a decentralized Uber, right now, you don't have to rebuild Uber. Uber's built. You know the components. You know the rider-driver switching mechanism. AI's got things that it can consume and basically get you that code in a lot quicker time frame. So to David's point, we're going to see community being the moat. We're going to see that user growth being the moat. And I think when you actually can pay people in sort of a stakeholder capitalism methodology for being a builder of your community by using your products, then that's going to be where the actual value accrues, the same way that Amazon accrues the value of all of the things that a generation ago were their own sort of venture scale companies. Start an exercise brand, start a sports drink brand. Okay, those were venture scale companies in the 90s. Now they're just being copycatted by Chinese. If it's an electronics brand, it's being built 5 different times by 5 different vendors. So the value is going to go to where the community lives and the aggregator of all of the apps. And that's not to say that it won't be valuable to build apps. Of course it will. It's just not going to be a $2 billion exit. It'll be a $200,000 maybe salary per year type of thing.
Which do you BJ? This, I guess this goes to everybody. Which are your most popular from a community perspective? Which instances of your, like, I get, for Patrick, like which apps are using the most parts of Jackal, or David, which are your most popular contests?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to take that. So right now for us, like, essentially when you look at Jackal, it just has the ability to have scalable off-chain storage with a smart contract call. So we have decentralized storage nodes, we're deep in network, right? We'll have resource network, depending on which VC you talk to on the labeling side of things, of course. But for us, it's primarily other applications. We're launching like a consumer app on Monday, where it's just kind of like a vault where you can like kind of put files and you have the scalability of the cloud, but the security and privacy posture of like self-hosting your files on your desk. But for the protocol to do well, we need to store a lot of data, because that's how our flywheel works. The more data, the more happy. And people only have like so many memes to like store or before we kind of start running out of things that they want to put on chain. So we're really primarily B2B. So for us, right, one good use case is NFT marketplaces. The files are not stored on chain. So you have like I have the rights to this NFT, but the file's stored like usually on an AWS server, and then it's pinned to IPFS, which is a discovery layer. So you'll notice in the bear market, a lot of NFT projects, like they stop paying their AWS bill, and then the files are gone. Chaos ensues, right? So having the ability to have like smart contract read and write to off-chain storage is another thing that like enables a lot of use cases. So we're working with some of the AI projects right now. Like if you want what's the point of building an AI project on blockchain rails is like you want self-custodial data storage, so you can like maintain controls of your data. So right now, a lot of those projects, the AIs have like dementia because like for every instance, like they don't want to store your data to be true to this decentralization and self-custody aspect. So every time you refresh, there's no chat history remembering or anything along those lines because they don't have access to scalable storage on these rails. So one is another good use case. But for us, data marketplaces, another good use case that we're getting into is decentralized science is another one where people are uploading like human genomes and then they're selling that data or they're doing something along those lines. And they need a way that people can be self-custodial and have data permissions on these rails so we can build web scale cool stuff. Is a lot of our use cases. So primarily, it's a lot of apps, but before we get to the apps, we do distribution by taking all of our blockchain. So we're a Cosmos L1. I know I'll probably get a lot of hate because this is probably an Avalanche.
No, we are also a
No, we're all great.
we are also a Cosmos L1 on Avalanche.
Yeah, well, so basically we built a blockchain just for storage. It doesn't do anything else. It just like we have custom modules and all that stuff, so it can be good at one thing. But like we saw this issue where like Filecoin and Arrowweave are sick, but the issue is that like they're like monolithic proof of work blockchains where if you want access to storage, you have to go build on Filecoin and Arrowweave. So now you don't have your liquidity or your community, or you might not just want to build on those rails for whatever reason. That's why a lot of people, like the majority of builders, are on EVM or Avalanche or Cosmos, Solana. So what we do is we wrap our modules into a smart contract and we deploy that on another chain and then use general message passing to do actions on behalf of that user. This means that every blockchain now has the same functionality as like a Filecoin Arrowweave, so those developers can have a smart contract call and automate the storage. So that's kind of like our big use case, and then we have a few customers in Web2. So we have like a telecom company in Iowa where they want multi-region verifiable backups, so they use us, and then we have a cannabis company in Chicago, Illinois. So they like to put all their user data on our storage layer as well because it's a ridiculously high security posture. You have to like harm them to get their private keys to get access to their cloud environment. So there's a lot of use cases in that as well.
But Jackal isn't storing other off-chain supplies for that company, correct?
No, not. Well, up here in Canada, we're allowed to, but I don't know what the rules are down there for you guys. So.
David, what's the most popular contest that you've seen on Joke Race?
The most popular, I think, was actually the one that we did ourselves, or I guess I did myself about a week ago, which was for best apps. And it was fun because it basically operated kind of like Product Hunt, where it was like a bunch of apps all wrote in, and then anyone could vote on who they like. But the difference between Product Hunt is, one, we can let anyone vote by charging per vote because it's on a blockchain. And that actually means you can't get sybiled. So you can't have someone creating 400 accounts to go vote for themselves. Like, they actually had to put the money in. The second is, because they're putting the money in, we can then take that and put it back into the rewards pool for the winners and create financial incentives for the contest, so that people are trying to like get as many people to come out and vote so that they can also earn more as a process. And so it becomes this like really kind of dynamic, game to be played of like for attention. And the beautiful thing about it is, like, as soon as one of those projects is trying to get attention, it's also drawing attention to everyone else, right? Like the money is a fixed pie, but the attention is kind of like a growing pie. And so what was kind of beautiful about it was like all the people who lost, like all were like, that was great. We got so much attention from that. VCs are checking that and seeing like, what the top apps are. We have like users who are like trying us out. We have like podcasts that want to like, launch about what's out there. There's video creators who want to create stuff. And so just like, it was still totally worth it to everyone to be part of that. While making it, I think, a lot more fun than like a Product Hunt would have been. And also a lot, less botted as well. The most popular general use cases we usually get are hackathons, grants rounds, stuff like that. Like much more traditional, people are entering, people are voting, but like really opening it up for anyone to vote has like opened up like kind of the terrain. We have reality TV shows that are launching on us. So we have one that's live right now.
I love that. I'm so
where
into
people are voting on like what couples will end up together. So like it can really run the gamut, right? You can do this for a hackathon, and you can do it to determine, who's going to fall in love. It's pretty fun.
Wow, I'm super into that. The way, correct me if I'm sorry, I'm gonna Excel just dropped. I'm letting back in. I'm trying to. I mean, I've been watching Joke Race stuff go on, and there's like a part of me that views it as like almost like a reverse Kickstarter.
I muted myself. Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. Yeah, the thing is, like, you can do whatever you want with those funds, right? And so if people want to build in a way where when you're voting for something, that fund goes to the winner and then helps bootstrap them and support them. Yeah, I would love to see stuff like that.
So
That'd be great.
so I'm gonna self-serve on this, and like Landslide spent the last 2 years just doing the brain damage to get where we are. Now it's all open source, and our partnership with like our other protocols, like we're trying to incentivize people to build the dumbest ideas possible. So we're building like a crackathon where good ideas go to die, and as long as the idea is internally consistent, it doesn't matter how
Right.
absurd it is. So like we want to launch. I'm in New Zealand, so like I want a chicken to launch its own meme coin and have it publicly available to any chicken worldwide. And so just here's the chicken, and it's deploying on the keyboard.
Yeah.
Right. So this type of absurd idea, or like, just like you earlier mentioned, you were like dementia. So we should launch a blockchain that just constantly resets every 24 hours. So like, it's only like the blockchain is only 24 hours long.
I think there's probably a lot that could come out of bad idea. It's kind of like, abstract math, where it's like everyone's like, this has no purpose for 20 years, and they're like, oh wait, ZK proofs. I probably there's like a lot of these bad ideas where it'd be like, wow, this is shit. This has no purpose whatsoever. And then 20 years from now, we'll be like, wait, the dementia chain. It's like it's really necessary to preserve our data. Like yeah, I think that there's a lot that can be done. I mean, we've thought about doing really dumb contests too. We were talking about one yesterday that would be like, who's the hottest Republican, and then having everyone vote between JD Vance and a fridge.
Yeah, or couch.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, that's too close to home. Yeah.
These are great ideas.
The absurdist, like, there's just a lot of absurdist terrain. I'm trying to find someone who's going to want to run like, best Halloween costume contest, like at the end of the month. Priorities here. I shared screen also. This is like a really cool one that just came up, which is like Celestia.
Let me get you in here. Hold on.
Oh yeah, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, so Celestia just launched this contest for all the rejects from DevCon. So everyone who got
Oh, I
rejected
saw
from
that, yeah.
DevCon, it can now apply to be part of Rejected, and Rejected is now the coolest side of it. And it's all being powered, right, by this contest to like vote on, what talks you'll get to see. But then like at the end of this, it's like, oh, the audience actually will get a say in who gets to speak. So it's actually decentralized and up to the attendees to actually like decide what they want to see. So instead of letting a centralized authority do it, right? So it's like stuff like that. I think it's really fun because it crosses the line between like actual some sort of community values with this kind of like decentralization too. I just launched this one, which is not getting traction. Please come and participate. No, we're the fucking games. So if you're a game and you want to enter, you can enter. So yeah, you can see it can really run a lot of different ways. This one just launched.
I'll put you in touch with all of our friends over at Avalanche who are having a very good month for games with Off the Grid
Yes,
and Maple
please.
Story. Yeah,
Yes, please.
I'll do that for sure, man. And
Yeah,
actually, you're
no.
bringing up a really great point. You're bringing up a really great point, which is fun wins, right?
Yeah.
So Nathan mentioned before that I have some background in politics. I mean, I don't know if this will work. Let's see. We know that poster, right? We've all seen that poster. So I was fortunate enough to be part of the crew that popularized that. And then it turned from just some people wheat pasting a poster on the side of some places in LA to, okay, well, now let's form a group called Generation Obama in Los Angeles, to 44 chapters world or nationwide. And then to me standing next to a fire marshal on the day of the night of the election party in California that we were producing, and a guy lights a joint up right next to it. And I'm just like, well, this really went from a poster to the most surrealist thing I've ever seen. It's like, I'm gonna shut the whole thing down. I'm like, please don't. Guy lights a joint. I'm like, I give up. But the point is, every single step of the way, and the reason that worked, that UI of that hope poster looked cool and fun. And so you start promoting that. And then that starts getting other people who are cool and fun to join up. And these are how movements go. I mean, we're here for like L1's Avalanche. These are how Avalanches build. And so what we're trying to do over at PACT essentially is we say, we all know about the world computer, right? Like Vitalik said, hey, there's going to be a world computer. Patrick, to your point, the infra is getting there. I think right now we may have like our first Macintosh moment when Avalanche has their ACP 77, Avalanche 9000, anyone can spin up their own blockchain. And that those blockchains will interweave into a world computer. But where's the operating system, right? That's my challenge. And we need to build the operating system. So to a degree, I'm going to share one more time on Nathan, and then I'm going to try to segue into tech, because tech is all about fun.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight them a bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Excel is doing great work over there. So here is what we're talking about. So crypto needs to win the next generation of builders. To Patrick's point, builders are really who we are most capable as a blockchain community right now of servicing. So how are we going to do that? Well, I think the OS, honestly, for Web 2, there's this little thing called WordPress, right? And so we believe the proven solution, WordPress created in 2003, look at the hockey stick growth after that. When you empower and enrich those tech builders to build tooling for entrepreneurs, then those entrepreneurs go, well, I know how to make money with this thing. I don't need to understand how a Byzantine fault-tolerant protocol works, but I do know that I can make money with it. So when you give them the tools, that's how that grows for Web 2, and I think we're going to do the same thing with Web 3. And what that means, and this is how we're going to be launching tech, because actually PACT has built the platform. So you saw Snowfort, this guy over here. But Snowfort is just a template. And this is where in 10 minutes for $30, you can launch your own platform. And this is something that we're going to be releasing a little bit later, so you guys are getting some early alpha. But this is Snowfort, and you have a full dashboard so that it becomes fun to run a business on chain. Now you're, instead of playing like, oh, I got to do a business, you're just doing a resource management game that makes you money, which is what Excel was talking about with his nephew, right? He was clicking the button and making money. Now, I can't say that I can promise that every chain set is going to make you as much money overnight as an ohm fork in the middle of a bull mania. But this will be a platform where you basically can say, okay, so I see all the packs, and a pack is just an on-chain or an online engagement that then gets committed on chain. Let's see which packs are successful. Well, we'll go to this one. Here's the pack that was created by Pack Partner. Here's the pack of the payout. You want to make sure that it's real? Let's check it on chain. Of course it's on chain. There's Stonetrace showing that that's there. And then the most important thing about games is you don't want to play them alone, right? So we have referrals and invite programs. We can automatically have people on chain sites like Snowfort say, hey, I'm having fun here. Come join up. So you start using like the Google Gmail cold start problem of if you have everyone with 5 referrals, Now you've got everyone in the world using your platform. But the other way that you don't have to do this alone is you've got administrative management. So we're the super admin for Snowfort, but we can add admins, managers, and developers. They have the API key access so that you can start building the stuff the way that you want, whether it's a business standpoint or the other standpoint. And then last but not least, this is kind of fun. This is observers. So let's say Snowfort, it scales to 10,000 users per month and $10 million in bounties. And somebody says, well, shit, this is blown up. I want to sell this company. I'm really excited about it, but it's time to move to the next chapter in my life. Well, then you can have people do observing. They can audit everything. And then once we have our own L1 on Avalanche, we're going to call it PACnet. They'll be able to take the NFT, similar to the NFT that the California DMV has for its car titles. This is a title for your chain site. They'll be able to sell it. And then the observer becomes the owner. They've got the keys. They've got this whole access to this. And, we'll just take a 2% fee on that for, giving you the entire gamified experience from you had an inspired idea. You went to our platform here and you launched a chain site by just entering the details, paying $30. We give you an EC2 and an S3, although always looking forward to exploring other ways to keep costs down. So anyone out there or on this call, of course, who's got server approaches, let us know. We install our operating system. You get all of this. And then last but not least, there's going to be a template and mod marketplace where you can then go get your templates, your UIs, or go get your mods to augment it, that WordPress for Web3 approach.
Sorry, BJ.
It's a game.
This
it's
is
a game.
great.
And so I'm saying this, and we're going to get to tech. And this is how we're launching tech right now, which you can see right here. So tech is in the process of getting deployed as we speak.
Okay, so let's just as a piece of background, what tech it launched as a meme coin and how is it using Pact?
Yeah, I'll jump in on it. Tech started as like a fun joke, just a meme coin kind of when things went crazy last year. But like in the spirit of tech, in the name of tech, it's like my focus even as a user has always been on like, I guess, bringing people together. So we started doing these spaces every week called Tech Tuesdays. And I think we're on like episode 26 by now. And we've talked to pretty much like we've talked to Landslide, we've talked to Pact. What the goal is to like bring alpha from the projects to the community and like put them together and kind of like give them a captive audience to talk to. So I'd say probably like June or July of this year, like I met BJ at Consensus in Austin. And then we started talking. He's showed me the same thing that he just showed you guys. I was like, holy shit, like what if I can get all of these builders in one place without all the noise from Twitter, without all the noise from like Telegram, Discord? If I can get all of you guys in one place, like VCs, I can get founders, I can get devs, I can get BDs, I can get content creators all in one place to cook, then like something magical could happen, right? So just like if you guys have learned anything from this talk so far, the idea would be able to have that, be able to break off into groups, and you guys would just kind of be able to create and do whatever you want. And that's kind of the idea. So I was talking to BJ, he ran me through that demo and was like, you know what, let's set this up for tech. So Tech 1000 is what it's called. It will be like an NFT gated community just for builders. And so like Nathan, you came on the show and talked, like I'm telling you now, like you'll have a whitelist to it, like you and another teammate. Obviously BJ and the Pact guys will. And so, yeah, the goal with tech was like, there's not really been a community that's focused on builders. It's all.
Is that just me?
I think we lost him.
Yeah, I think he's down.
All right, well, he'll come back in. We got about 5 more minutes to wrap up before, and I don't want to take up everybody's time, but maybe we can do some sort of closing remarks. Like, what would you like listeners to do after they've just heard this insane rambling of us all?
For us, like what I'm excited about is there's probably a big Avalanche base on listening right now. I'm excited to just deploy an outpost on Avalanche and all these new chains that are kind of popping up so we can build cool stuff on blockchain rails that is scalable and wonderful. That's what I'm excited about, just providing decentralized storage simply with a smart contract call to these devs and how they want to pass it on to the users. It can be fully self-custodial for them, depending on the UX, but no, well, it's exciting stuff.
Patrick, we're ready to do it. Our SDK is live. We just need to schedule the integration.
Yes, sir. That's all we need.
Yeah, so you guys need to, Jackal needs to stand up the light client for Avalanche, and then we should be ready to go.
Cool. Yeah, we just had to make sure we got that GMP ready to go, and I'm excited.
Yeah. Great. BJ, what about you?
Sure. So I would say, think of the blockchain future you want to live in, right? And don't think, and it's tricky because obviously it's a very short-termist crypto Twitter space. I think that's why Excel is focused on tech to bring the people who are actually going to build the future. We're going to have it together, just like you did here with this. So thank you for having us. It's been really tremendous, and love learning more about Jackal Labs. And David, we've been following Joe Grace's success on the crypto Twitters. So congratulations, well deserved, and obviously just the beginning of everything. But find the people who you want to inhabit that future with. And my sort of, if I could just leave anyone with any piece of like short pithy advice, filter for builders. Just filter for builders, and you'll be happy every day of your life, because the builders are the ones who are intelligent enough and gritty enough to be about it. And everyone else, BS kind of has a way of sneaking in if you're not filtering for builders.
Thanks, BJ. David.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. Legitimacy is hard in this space, but it's worth a lot. And it's especially hard when you're trying to work with everyone too, and then seeing a lot of the bullshit in the space. Yeah, I would love people to switch on my shill hat to come and play in contests and great contests. We're live on Avalanche. Can be used for anything from marketing campaigns to decentralized decisions to creating hackathons and product hunts. So I'll cut myself off before I shill for the next 30 minutes, but would just love people to use it, and like also reach out to me with feedback. There's things you don't like, there's things you want to see. Like that's also just really helpful for me as a founder to hear.
What a time for my internet to just completely rug.
Yeah. Well, welcome back. Just selfishly, I'll obviously be contacting y'all because there's a ton of stuff that Landslide as an L1 needs help with. We have a ton of like incentivized campaigns. It's just like our team of people have only so much time, and it's like our growing pain is getting out of our own, four walls. And if I could have like a Sherpa to kind of do all these things, I would like, this is the thing that we need done. I just don't know how to do it on all the particular platforms, but we're like right there.
Cool.
Yeah. Excel, why don't you close us out, man?
Yeah, let me just kind of, I'm not sure what the last thing that you heard is. Maybe BJ picked up for me because he's building out Texas Pact. Like the whole goal with the tech community was to focus on builders. And so this idea came about whenever BJ showed the demo. I met at Consensus. We talked about it, was to create a platform on Avalanche that's somewhat of like a community-led incubator where we will have like VCs, we'll have devs, marketing, BD, all in one place, content creators that you guys can come in, break off into groups. And it's kind of just away from all the noise of Twitter, Discord, Telegram, and all of that. So I think it's kind of been in the spirit of all of the Avalanche meme coins, not to just focus on vibes only. Like you have Cock, for example, they're building out CockNet. I know they're working with you guys as well to be able to slide the Cock and whatever tokens back and forth between Cosmos and Avalanche.
Amen.
No Chill is doing the arena. A lot of the arena, they've got their PFP. Kimbo's doing KimboNet. So I feel like the founders of all of these meme coin projects have actually wanted to build a product to go along with it's kind of the spirit of how Avalanche has worked. And like kudos to you at Landslide. Like you guys are like doing all the heavy lifting and bridging the gap. And BJ, same thing. Like you guys are doing all the heavy lifting. It makes it so much easier for somebody like me that doesn't necessarily have, like I'm a trial lawyer by trade, but like I don't have the technical background to be able to do what you guys do. So making it so it's very like templated and easy to use and set up, that's been a real blessing. So yeah, that's the whole idea. It's like, let's get all the builders in one place, put them together under this Tech 1000. It's an NFT gated membership, and let you guys just kind of cook together. And then ultimately, like we'd like to see some projects get built out of it. Like I bet if I put all four of you guys in a room together, like kind of like how we are now, you guys could come up with some amazing ideas and then, ship out a new project or something else that you guys are working on. So
great.
Patrick, David, like anytime you guys want to come talk about your projects on the show, I'd love to have you on there as well. So
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it a ton.
All right, gents. Thank you so much for your time. I hope everyone's enjoyed the mutual shill fest, and I direct all the listeners to everyone's socials, and hope we see some horrible or great ideas built.
Or both.
Or
You never
both.
know.
Great.
Preferably
Thanks,
both.
guys.
Thank you, everyone.
I'm gonna
Take
end the
care.
stream.
Appreciate the time. Later, guys.
Okay.
I gotta get